Hey, Ardent Men, we have 2 more weeks of group time. Last week we talked about fleeing, pursuing, and fighting. This week we're going to talk about being rich. And you're like, wait, what? Our goal is not to be rich. We're not supposed to love money, but Paul is going to tell Timothy to be rich, but it's not in money, it's to be rich in good works. So we're going to think about how do we this summer, the end of the semester, how do we walk through the summer being rich? Not just fleeing, pursuing, and fighting, but also being rich in good works. I love how Paul tells Timothy this. He says this, first of all, in 17. As for the rich in this present age, charge them not to be haughty, nor to set their hopes on the uncertainty of riches, but on God, who richly provides us with everything to enjoy. So first of all, he says, hey, tell the rich in this present age. And so Paul has church members who have more money, and he's trying to tell them, hey, tell these guys to do certain things. And I just want us to know that in our context, he's probably talking to all of us. Like all of us would be considered rich when it comes to like the world's population. Like if you make more than like $3 a day, you're considered pretty rich. And so when you look across the world, other cultures, other populations, man, if you're an American and you have a job, you're like rich when it's in terms of like the world's economy. So what is he telling us as American Christians, in particular American men? Well, to the rich, do not be haughty. So don't like boast, don't be prideful in your riches, nor don't set your hope on the uncertainty of riches. Here's the reality. Riches are always uncertain. Like we don't know when an epidemic is going to happen. We don't know when inflation is going to go up, when the stock market is going to crash. Like when we hope in job, money, land, resources, treasure, it can all go away in a moment. So we don't hope because riches are always uncertain. They're a foundation that is always shaky. So if your hope is in what you have and what you're making, it always has the potential to go away. And you know, friends, maybe you've experienced when you've lost significant things. So what are we hoping on then? He says this, but hope on God. So don't hope in the uncertainty of riches, but put your hope on God. Because God is certain. God is unshakable. He is not going to disappear. He is unfazed by inflation. He's unfazed by the stock market. You can always count on God because God is the unshakable foundation who is eternally going to have you so you can actually hope in Him. So we put our hope in the right place, not in our riches. But notice what he says. Here's what God does. He richly provides us with everything to enjoy. So Paul's not against stuff. He's not against having stuff. God actually richly provides for his people all things to enjoy. It's okay to enjoy the blessings and gifts that God has given you, but don't hope in them. Don't love them as functional saviors and don't worship them as functional gods. Instead, hope, worship, have salvation in God, and then see all of His good things as blessings to enjoy. He wants you to enjoy them. And then it goes on and says this, and they are to do good, to be rich in good works. So he's telling the rich, be rich, but not in riches, be rich in good works. Like doing good for other people for the sake of God's glory. He actually lists what that actually looks like. Well, how are we rich in good works? To be generous, ready to share, thus storing up treasure for themselves as a good foundation for the future. And so what does it look like to do good? Well, part of it is being generous. Part of it is sharing. Part of it is using all the things that God has given us. I think that could be our actual like treasure. It could actually be our talents. It can be our time. We're being generous with ourselves for the sake of others. That's how we are doing good. That's how we're being rich in good works. So don't you think about, man, this summer, like how can you use your time, talent, and treasure to bless others? Not just to build your kingdom, but to bless others, to be rich in good works towards your family, your friends, your job, the community that you live in, the neighborhood, the mission trip you go on. How can you be rich in good works? And then he ends with this. so that they may take hold of that which is truly life. That's a beautiful statement. That if we are men who don't hope in God, or I'm sorry, if we're men that don't hope in the uncertainty of riches, but we hope in God, and we're men who are rich in good works, then we actually take hold of true life. See, some of the problem is we often miss true life because we get so obsessed with our things and our stuff and our retirements and our jobs and our 401k and the stock market, and do we make this sale? Did we do this? And all that stuff's okay, but it's not true life. That true life is the people around us. True life is the God that we're in relationship with. So we don't need to miss life because we're obsessed with the things in life. Instead, we need to be men who are truly rich. And that's riches of, giving and being with people and having time for others. We need to make sure that we're rich in the right things. So during group time, here's what I want you to think about. Are we being rich in the right things? And so have a group discussion on what are you tempted to be rich in the wrong things? And how can you replace that with being rich in the right things? Because Paul wants Timothy to tell these people, be rich, but not just by having a new boat. Be rich in good works. So let's push each other this week towards being rich men who are rich in good works.